I don't know. A little early is fine, right? So yes. So this is Dark Hallway. And it's very much a work in progress. So if you haven't really tuned in, we're using the Ursina engine with Python. And that's it. And we have some 3D models that we've placed into the game every so often. And what we're doing here is we're just waiting until we get about halfway through the hallway, and then we add another piece to the hallway. And at the same time, if we have more than 3 pieces of hallway, then we remove the first piece of hallway. See, it just happened right there. And the nice thing about this is that we can maintain our resources. I can sit here and I can walk down this hallway forever, which is more than you can say about most hallways. Something to be proud of, even if it seems small and insignificant. My hallway is forever. It'll never start to be glitchy. It'll never hurt your graphics card. It's just a beautiful hallway. Forever. But it needs more. And that's what we're trying to do today. We're trying to add more to it. Now you can see here we have the beginnings of an inventory menu. And we just need to add items into our map. And that's really it. We're not going to worry about implementing any sort of logic as to where the items are placed. We'll probably just give them a default placement. So the darkness that you see, it's just a series of spheres with various levels of alpha. And if I take away some of the shading, it'll start to look a little bit not so good. I'd like to wait for somebody to join before we can begin delving into the code. If you're here, let me know you're here and we'll get started. Hey, MKB, what's going on, brother? Should it be lighter? Or are you just being funny? I think I fixed my internet today. I think that's going to be the sequel. It's going to be a hallway that's just all white. And it burns your retinas. And you have to try to get across it while it's burning your retinas. That's going to be a very hard game. We're going to call it Light Hallway. Or White Hallway. You know, it's funny. It's funny as a joke, but it's also probably not a bad idea. Dim Foyer, yeah. I think Dim Foyer is going to be the real winner. I'm trying to think of another one and I can't. Could have lukewarm corridor. We can start getting into temperatures. That's how we can keep it interesting. We're getting into all attributes of matter. And waves, I guess. I always thought it would be interesting to be able to model the entire universe with a computer program. You know what I mean? Like down to the particle level. I tried to do it one time, but I didn't get very far. All right, MKB. Should we get started or what? Should I wait for people? I suck at Twitch. Is there anybody else here besides MKB? Let me know if you're here. And we can go ahead and get started. Ooh, illuminated passage. That might be the dark passage. That might be the passage where the sun doesn't shine. If you know what I mean. It's kind of where we're at. What's on this bookshelf? I don't know. Why am I freaking out? What's in this treasure chest? I can't open it yet. I'm gonna cop out and make everything kind of cheap. I don't want to code an animation for this and an animation for that. Whatever. When you walk up to it, it'll say, check the bookshelf. And then you press a button and then you're checking the bookshelf. Check the chest. Oh, I'm checking the chest. There's something in there. And then we'll have to find out a mystery. And the only way to get to the end of this stupid hallway is to figure out the mystery. The mysterious mystery. The vague mystery. Which I have not figured out what that is yet. Alright. 7 minutes in. I think it's time to get started looking at the code. Alright. So this is what we have right now. And it's based on a... well, it's pretty much entirely a prefab that came with the Ursina engine. A sample, I guess. And I've shamelessly stole it here. And this is the super constructor. This object seems surprisingly... and not for... yeah, there you go. This object seems like it would be good for climbing on. Maybe. There's a lot you can do with this concept. Like, I'm serious about that. I think it's a fertile territory. And you know, this is just having fun, but mostly, you know, but we'll see where we can get. An hour a day. You can get a lot done with an hour a day. You can get a lot done with an hour a day. An hour a day keeps the inertia away. Or something like that. Okay. So when we're dealing with this positions, I read this about this. In this Ursina game engine, we have a 2D context and a 3D context, and it's implied by what is the parent. And in this case, the parent camera.ui has a 2D context, and just trust me on that. And whenever you're setting the position in a 2D context, you're going negative and positive on a Cartesian coordinate. Okay, so over here we have negative 0.3, but it's 0.3 out of 1, 1 being the entire half width of the thing, I think. It's the entire width of the quadrant, basically. Whatever you want to say. You can look at the position of the thing and see where it ends up. So on the left is positive 0.3. No, wait. On the left is negative 0.3. And on the right is positive 0.3. Which, you know, I don't know. I think that the middle of it, like if I draw a line down the middle of this and I said this one on the left is 0.3, then I would say that my line in the middle of this is in the middle of the inventory all the way to the right, and the 0.3 negative is all the way to the left. And so I think that's where how we're translating it. So the left of this one is negative 0.3, and the left of the other one is positive 0.3. So that means that what we're going between here is negative 0.3 and presumably a number greater than 0, like 0.1. Presumably, I don't know. And then on the other side, we're going from a similar number, or just 0. Let's see. We're going from 0.3 to, I guess, whatever is plus the original position plus whatever. So all the time we're adding to the original position when we're building these vicinity arrays. So the simplest thing that we could do here is try to make it to where we could populate both of our arrays, which they're not arrays, they're just these draggable elements positioned in such a way to where they are over top of the entity, which is textured at a very low resolution. It's basically large pixels drawn on it. And in one case, our x will be x times 1 divided by, that's what was already here, x times 1 divided by the self.texture scale. But the x can be negative, I think. Let's just see. Comes from this free spot here. And the texture scale comes from e.x range.width. And the width is set to 4. So, but this is a number. What is the e here? I'm trying to figure out what e is in this context. Yeah, I don't see what e is. Do we have any other references to e? No. I'm not sure what that is. Oh, okay, I see now. Alright, so e is a inline defined variable in this loop. So e is an instance of a child of this entity. And the children are just a part of it, I suppose. I don't see where they're set here in this code. Alright. So now we know what children is. So we have these children, which I guess end up being the draggables, I suppose. Looping through them, we're getting the X position and the Y position of each. And if... let's see. If not X and Y. So I guess that this... when we have this texture scale, it sets the children. I'm not familiar with children in this context. But alright, so, I mean, here we have an array of some sort of object that has an X and a Y, and we're multiplying it by our texture scale, which we know is 1 divided by... wait, no, that's not right. So the texture scale in this case... Alright, brother, thank you for stopping by. Always a pleasure. Alright, so our texture scale in this case is equal to our width and our height. So when we are saying that the texture scale 0, that's just our width. And texture scale 1, that's just our height. So, given that, we are multiplying these grid positions here. The first one we're going to get is 0, 0, I think. And so we just assume that that's going to be 0, 0. And for the X and the Y, where we're looping through these, height and width, we're comparing the grid position of the child, which I guess, you know, free spot in this context, that must be a draggable. It must be a draggable. So in the first instance, 0, 0 would appear, and we should be able to clear this. Next instance, we have 0, 0 in the children, and so we don't clear this at first. We go to 0, 1, and then so on and so forth for the width and for the height. Now that's okay, except for the fact that I don't want it to be based on... I don't want it to be based on the actual positioning of the element. I don't want those two to be coupled. Or if I do, I want them to be relative. Not like this. Not like this. So what does this end up being? So the next one will end up being X will be I think 1 in this case. And then Y is negative because it goes downward. That sounds pretty right. I think that's right. Okay. So the X, I mean, first X will be 0, right? I think the first X will be 0. And I think that's okay. But I mean, if what's the quickest way for me to get a little translation going? A little translation. Well, should it be the origin? I'm wondering if I can do just the same thing with a different origin. Would that have the same effect? What exactly does the origin do? So here I'm setting the origin of x to 0.5 of the mock-up vicinity, basically, and we have something going on here. What's this? 23? Oh, we're missing a comma right there. Unbelievable. Okay, I'd say that worked. In a more predictable way, too, huh? Well, that's good news. Because all we have to do is just use a different origin every time. I'm glad we explored that. So for the vicinity, we'll set it over to 1, positive 1. The y value is good to remain constant. And this is just for rough skis. So this will remain the same. Kind of. Let's see. What happens with this icon? A lot happens with this icon. The origin, though, I think is constant when it comes to this icon. So I think that we just want to create a quick function called init icon at origin. So this is within the class that we're currently in, inventory. And so let's create a function that says create, or create icon at origin. And we want origin to be passed in here. And we can go ahead and give it the default origin here, just so we don't forget it. Okay. And I think that that's all we're going to need for now. All we want to do is just take all of this here. We don't even need to return it. And we just place it in here. I'm not sure why we're unindented that far. I might have copied too much. Let's see what happened there. Yeah, I took way too much. I copied way too much, I mean. Let's see here. What is this? Yeah, and then we just want to call this twice. Just in a row. Alright, so this is everything that we need. And the only thing that we're doing is we're passing in origin. So that where we need it, we can change it. essentially mirroring what we're doing in the inventory in the quote-unquote vicinity for now. Getting a feel for the positioning, I guess. Alright, looks good there. Here in a pen now, what we'll do is we'll create the item at that origin, and then the other origin, which is not that, it's actually 1.5. And then we'll need to have a button. Alright, I'm just going to grab this and move it up to the constructor. Now I'll take this function and... Thank you, brother. I appreciate you, brother. You know it's hard out there. It's hard out there for a pimp, brother. I think I'm missing part of the YouTube widget. Am I missing the widget? I think I am. Alright, let's see. There's the button that we're dropping in there. Alright, 1 second. So there's the button. And then we want to do the function there. And then on the button, we're just passing self add item. And this should be self dot append. What did we miss? What did we miss? Doesn't like that button. How about now? Alright, almost. Almost. Alright, that's in our inventory and close function. We don't have a background anymore, I guess. And then also, whenever we are pressing escape and toggling the inventory, we need to disable the first person controller. So self.player. Yeah, that's good. That's a good little toggle. A little quick toggle. Alright, what did we miss? Add item takes 0 positional arguments. Ah, right there. Okay, so forgot the little object-oriented thing. Alright, what else? $72. I don't know what that is. self.width. No idea. I mean, I know I have width on. I have width right there. So when does it get set to self? I think that I'm a little bit before that. Does it never get set to self? I'll just do it right here. Surprised if it never got set to self. Yeah, we're past that error, so that was actually what did it. All right, create item at origin. Now here we do have self, and it says it's not defined. It's because we forgot to specify self. All right. What else now? Item. Create item at origin. Item is not defined. All right, what's the problem? Line 115 this time. So item is something that we actually are picking out before then. So I'm thinking that we just need to pass it in. Looks like we are passing it in. So, okay, create icon at origin. We just need to pass in item here. Right. Tricky. Well, what is it now? Icon. Shall we change it to icon? Let's see. 107. Oh, okay, that's a fail right there, huh? Icon is something that we're defining here, so this needs to go here. Only one time, though. There we go. Come on. Oh my god. Drag is not defined. Okay. Where does drag come from? It's a function there. That is interesting. What is this? Width is not defined. Self.width. Okay. Man, a lot of shit to go through. Inventory. It's passing in width. Right? What am I missing there? This is the constructor. I mean, we could set it prior. Well, yeah, we could just, instead of that, we can just pass in the texture scale. That's what we were doing before, right? Let's see, how are we not doing that now? If we get to here, and we get to create icon at origin, and the part where we're failing is when we press the button, right? So the button is tied to another function right here called add item. And then that's going into append. And it's changing the background, which it doesn't need to do. And then it's calling self.close, which it also doesn't need to do. And when we go to append, and suddenly when we're referring to self, I think we're referring to something else. It could be what we're going through. At this point, since we're only doing one function, we can just pass in that function, and that would be valid. But now we're hitting that same error just earlier. But that's good in a way, because at least we know that it's not because we're referring to the wrong self. That's a good thing. But it's a bad thing because once we get into append, we have some code here. I think create icon at origin. Pretty sure, yeah. Actually, no. Self. Well, goes into add item, and then it goes into append. Where does it? Is the self dot width times height that's not defined here? Yeah, I'm gonna get rid of that then. Don't need that right now. We don't need it. Now where is it? Find free spot. Self.height and self.width. Wondering why we don't just use these. Because that is the actual number, right? It's weird. I don't think, doesn't seem right. Anyway. See. Now it says that that's not defined. Float cannot be interpreted as an integer. I guess that's why they're casting. I don't know why it would be a float. Maybe I put a decimal somewhere. Doesn't need to be a float at all. Alright, finally we're past this. Finally. Alright, we do have some icons being added. In very, very, very wrong positions. But they are being added. So that's good to know. let's try to make it to where they're going to be added in the right positions again. So create icon at origin was the function that we created to create a translated icon in the other side, the other column. And let's see, bone and arrow. I'm not seeing them on the original origin. Let's see if I change something a little bit upstream to cause this. Let's see. Yeah, I don't think I need all that. I'm gonna get rid of all this nonsense. Inventory full. I'll need that eventually. And then this original should be pretty much identical to the create icon at origin that I created, the function. The only difference being that so the default origin is 0, 0, but that's not what we want. The default origin needs to be -50, -0.50. And let's see that now. Still trying to get me with the it has no height thing. Where did that come from? When did I dork with the height of the thing? I have to that feels like a scope issue because I changed functions or something, but I don't know. This is what we had before. Pretty much identical. I'm trying to look, is there somewhere else earlier where the height was set that I'm missing? I guess there. Interesting. Is that there the whole time? And the background? Yeah, okay, well, there's the mystery solved. Now, where was it though? It said it was on line 15. All right, cameras being a funny thing. Hold on. That's not gonna work. Gotta get my camera back on Wi-Fi or USB. I don't know what's going on. Oh, there we go. Back in business, baby. All right. Where was I? Oh, yes. So it's by default closing itself, and then the escape button is making it to where it's visible. It exposes it. All right. Now all we have to do is mirror the vicinity, and that should make it to where it breaks. We don't have a vicinity. Did I spell it wrong? Should have a vicinity. We don't have a vicinity at that point. That's okay. Let's just move it up here. It's completely okay. There we go. Alright, almost with the translated icons. Now let's make them also... Well, I guess let's move them down. Let's move them down, right? And also, aren't they on the wrong side? Maybe I'm backwards. Maybe things are just backwards to me. We'll see. We'll figure it out. We're pretty close either way. So the inventory has the vicinity property, but we don't care about that right now. We care about the create icon at origin, and the origin, it's supposed to go down 0.5. That's the problem. That solves one bit of mystery. And then as far as creating the other one goes, I mean, this should really work. It should just work. Let's see if it does. Ooh, almost getting there. Yeah. As you can see, we have a little bit of a logic issue. A little bit of one. Oh yeah, I see that. 5 is not correct there. But also, what the heck's going on with the 1? Doesn't really seem to be working out how I want it. Yeah, that's not what I want at all. I mean, if anything, if that's what it looks like, and I actually want like -7. So that's -7. Okay, so if that's -7, actually what I want is +4. See what I'm doing here? That's pretty good. Almost there. Let's go +7. There we go. Nice and parallel. Well, you know, almost parallel. I don't know why it's not filling up the entire inventory row, but it's probably something simple, right? The X and the Y position come from this function, find free spot. And we got a self.height and a self.width. And it could be because we're doing 2 of them at a time. Let's explore that. I don't think so. I don't think that's gonna be it. Because we're not calling free spot twice. So like it happens in the same spots. I don't think that's gonna be it. It's starting to look like that's actually it. Ugh. How do we fix that then? Well, first we have to figure out why it's doing that. Alright. Oh, I see. So we are calling it twice. Alright, well, this is a dummy solution. But I'm a dummy, so here we go. We're just going to pass that bad boy right in. This is what we get from find free spot. Oh, that's cool that we can spread out the variable like that. That's very nifty. It's very JavaScript. Did it change my origin again? Sneaky bastard. Sneaky, sneaky, sneaky. I don't play with sneaky. There we go. Almost. What the hell happens to the last one? Alright, legit. What happens to the last one? I'm guessing that our translation is just too far over. And these need to be relative, I know. And I know what they are. But yay! Well, I kind of know what they are. 6 plus 4... 6.25. I think is what it is. Or... yeah, no, actually it's 5.75 is the decimal translation for, but because I don't know if you saw, it was halfway off of the square that it's supposed to be on. What the hell happened? Okay, hold on. This looks right. Oh yeah. Famous last words. This looks right. So now it's on. It's not that on though, so I guess, I mean, maybe it is just 0.5. Yep. 5.5 is the translation. There you go. So the vicinity will be the draggable item with the origin 5.5.5. All right. We're not gonna do this right now. We can still have this function. But what we're going to do is we're going to say build vicinity. And yeah, items. The vicinity origin is going to be constant. And what did we say it was? It's not that. It's 5.5. 5 comma 0.5. Right? And the X and the Y, this is where we're going to need to fork this function, but for now I'm just trying to think of what we should do. I think all we really need to do is We'll use a foreign range here instead. No. No. We're gonna go with len items. No. That is not what we're gonna do. We're gonna do self-create item at origin. We want to use our vicinity origin, not that. I think we want to go for Y. We want to say negative I, negative I, come on, I modulo self dot frick, I don't know, the 0 one, texture something, texture scale 0. Yeah, there it is. And what that should do is that should be ticking down on the Y. Actually, no, it's... So every time we go to a number that is divisible by... What is it? I'm trying to think here. Is this actually the right way to do it? No, it isn't. This is not the right way to do it. We want to do 0 for a lot of them. How will we yield 0 from where we're at? Like, for... I mean, I guess we could just do like an if statement, but no. I'm going to be a little bit more creative with that. Oops. Sorry, my phone fell. And now it's freaking out. There we go. I think. Yeah, it looks okay. Alright, where were we? So the X, I mean, isn't it just X? We derive Y from X. Yeah, I think I had it right the first time. It's X modulo 4 is the correct number. This last argument is just vicinity origin. And so the idea is that I'll be able to pass in an array of items. Kind of similar to what I have in that append function. But it'll be more like, you know, here, let's see if we can just make it work. See if we can just see it happen. What do we call it? Build vicinity. Right, exactly. So let's see if we can build the vicinity. What is this? What does that say? We don't have an X. We need self.x. Is that right? This would be an inventory. Not there. Create item in origin is where we need X and Y. Oh yeah, but we're passing that in. So we're okay. Hold on. What line were we on? I guess we'll have to figure that out the old-fashioned way. It's the only one we have modulo on. This one. And there's no X here. I think it's because we need I instead of X. Modulo 4 is correct. Maybe it's not. I think these are backwards. They appear to be backwards. It's more complicated than they're just backwards. So, but, you know, it does kind of work a little bit. I think that I is definitely the right thing to go do for the first one. Right? Kind of. The vicinity is the one on the right. But I think I have that backwards. We'll see. Yeah, so that's the item origin. And it's not even right. It's supposed to be 5.5. I definitely feel like the item origin is the one on the right. So the item origin is just going to be matched with this one, negative 0.5. And I know that's not correct, technically, according to how we've named things, but fuck it. Alright, what is this now? What is this now? Ah, okay. Alright, we got some items there. But the problem, little problemo, is that this needs to be modded by... Are you ready for this? It needs to be modded by I mod 4. And I mod 4 is the Y value, right? That's almost correct. That's actually very close to being correct. How is that so close to being correct? How? Just curious. We're passing in an array of 5 items, huh? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it puts them all in the same line. Should we be modding by 5? Apparently not. Apparently that doesn't matter. How does that not matter? Oh. That's right. Because when we do append, we do a different thing. Do a different thing altogether. I'm just curious as heck now. Curiosity's killing my cat. The actual X position should be equal to I, and then minus the modulo, right? Minus the modulo minus 1, maybe? I don't know. This is kind of ridiculous. This is not necessary right now. Just pass in 4 items. All we really need to do is just demonstrate that the vicinity is working. Or at least it's on its way. We'll be able to pass in items and positions and all that stuff. I still have 5 items.